What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 17, Millionaire Maker.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay guys, this is for the Millionaire Maker slate, which is the Sunday main slate at 1 p.m. Oh, and stick around to the very end of this video. After I show you all my picks in the Draft Dashboard tools, I'll show you these players in DraftKings and in FanDuel, the Millionaire Maker slates. There'll be 2 spots open that you'll have to fill in, but you'll have a great Millionaire Maker core. Okay guys, let's take a look at the quarterback position. I'm gonna save some salary here, so my Millionaire Maker quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky from the Chicago Bears playing the Green Bay Packers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and although they've been pretty good versus opposing quarterbacks, Mitchell Trubisky has averaged 16.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 3.2 rush attempts per game. But he's been playing well lately, scored 25, 15, and 25 fantasy points in the last 3 games. He's going to be about 6% owned, projected at 18.1 fantasy points here in week 17. He's 5,600 DraftKings salary and 1,700 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 52 points scored in this game, with the Chicago Bears trailing by 5. So you got a high-scoring game and a passing game script, so I like Mitchell Trubisky here versus the Green Bay Packers. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. My Millionaire Maker running back is going to be Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans playing the Houston Texans, who have the second worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Derrick Henry has averaged 21.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 22.9 rush attempts per game. He's projected at 23.4 fantasy points here in week 17, and he's 9,400 DraftKings salary and 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 56 points scored in this game, with the Tennessee Titans favored by 7.5. So you got a fantastic matchup, a super high scoring game, and a running game script. So I like Derrick Henry here versus the Houston Texans. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, who do we have at the wide receiver position? I'm going to save some salary at the wide receiver position, so my Millionaire Maker wide receiver is Darius Slayton from the New York Giants playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have the 4th worst defense overall, and they give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Darius Slayton, he's only averaged 9.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.2 pass targets per game, but he's got a lot of volume in the last 3 games, getting 8, 9, and 8 pass targets. Now, he's only put up 5, 11, and 6 fantasy points in his last 3 games, but he's getting the passing volume, so he's capable of putting up 2 touchdowns, and he's only going to be about 3% owned, projected at 10.8 fantasy points here in week 17, and he's only 4,100 DraftKings salary and 900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45 points scored in this game, with the New York Giants trailing by 3. So you got a fantastic matchup, a low salary player who's getting a ton of pass targets. He's got some pretty big upside, so I like Darius Slayton here versus the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. My Millionaire Maker tight end. Now you could go with George Kittle, but I'm going to go with Mark Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the 10th worst defense overall, and they give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Mark Andrews has averaged 12.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.3 pass targets per game. But he got 11 pass targets last game. He's been putting up double-digit fantasy points in his last 3 games, scoring 14, 18, and 13 fantasy points. He's only going to be about 8% owned, projected at 13.2 fantasy points here in Week 17. He's 5,800 DraftKings salary and 1,400 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 44.5 points scored in this game, with the Baltimore Ravens favored by 13. So although this could turn into a running game script, he's got a fantastic matchup. I think Mark Andrews is going to get his touchdowns early in this one, so you may not even need him in the fourth quarter. So I like Mark Andrews here versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
You've unlocked the bonus content. Okay guys, here we are in the DraftKings lineup optimizer. Over here on Draft Dashboard, we have our Millionaire Maker core locked in here, and we've generated a lineup. So let's see who we got. We got Mitchell Trubisky, Derrick Henry, Giovanni Bernard, Robbie Anderson, Tim Patrick, Justin Jefferson, Mark Andrews, Darius Slayton, in the Browns defense. So I like this lineup. Robbie Anderson coming in at 15% ownership, only 5,600 DraftKings salary, so he's a great play. Justin Jefferson has been fantastic this season. Giovanni Bernard has scored over 20 fantasy points in his last 2 games, so he's been on a roll. So I'm going to save this lineup so I can optimize it later. Okay, now here we are in the FanDuel lineup optimizer. Over on Draft Dashboard, we have our Millionaire Maker core locked in here, and we've generated a lineup. So let's see who we got. We got Mitchell Trubisky, Derrick Henry, David Johnson, Adam Thielen, Darius Slayton, Robbie Anderson, Mark Andrews, Darnell Mooney, and the Raiders defense. So I love this lineup. Few things you could do with this lineup. You could go to Allen Robinson and double stack the wide receivers with Mitchell Trubisky. You could go to DK Metcalf. Lots of options at this wide receiver position. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as Adam Thielen. I think this is a fantastic lineup. I'm going to be playing this one, so I'm going to save it so I can optimize it later.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.